Hey everyone, in this video I'd like to share a few simple techniques I use to model the chisel style felt tip of a highlighter or marker like the one you see here. Um, Unlike the cap or the tubular body of this model, which were created through simple bevel and extrusion procedures, um, the tip here can prove slightly a little more challenging to accomplish. There's a lot of different ways of going about modeling this type of object. I've seen it done with loop slicing or Boolean techniques, all of which are perfectly valid as well. However, I came up with this method in 3dsmax here, which I found to be quite simple and provided a good base topology without much overall effort or surface cleanup. So um, I'll just go ahead and remove these objects from the scene, and I'll start by creating a cylinder primitive. Um, the height and width here can be arbitrary for now. We're not going to actually model this to scale for this demonstration, so we won't worry too much about those parameters. However, since we will be using subdivisional surface modeling techniques, we'll pay attention to the number of sides on our cylinder here. I'm going to start with 12 sides. I think 12 sides in this case will be optimum for the density that we need, and it'll give us a good result. So 12-sided cylinder will convert to editable poly, and we'll go to face mode and just remove the n-gons. Then we'll switch to side perspective view and remove half of the model. Okay, so we're left now with this curved surface. Switch to edge mode and grab these two end edges and bridge them. And from here, grab the two edges on your bridge, and we'll connect with 3 segments. And the purpose of this is because ultimately we want to quad cap this area right here. So we'll do that by selecting these center segments, and we'll bridge those, and then we'll just cap the holes. All right, and that gives us a nice quadrilateral result. And eventually we're going to implement symmetry to aid in the creation of this model. So since we're going to use symmetry, we don't need to maintain faces on this side of the model because it will be mirrored and made symmetrical. So we can go ahead and remove those faces. The next thing we want to achieve here is we want to create a slope on this curved edge. We want this curved edge to slope down on the model, and we can do that just by selecting these vertices and just go ahead and move them down a little bit on the z-axis. Okay, and then select these two vertices and move those down slightly, and then finally select that central vertex and move it down slightly until you've achieved the same curve, except now it's angled. So alright, and we'll clean that up a little bit by selecting these faces and making them planar. Okay, so now we have a nice flat yet angled surface here. Okay, so we just made them planar, and that gave us a better result here. All right, So the next thing we want to do is we want to select all of these planar edges on the profile of our model. We don't want the curved edges here on the bottom. We just want all of these angular edges. So the easiest way to do that in 3ds Max anyway is to enable our step mode. All right, and this is something that I would recommend mapping this to a hotkey because it's such a handy tool, and you'll find yourself using it quite often, I'm sure, to make partial loop selections and whatnot. So while you're in edge mode, go ahead and enable your step mode, and how this works is you select the first edge on the part of the loop that you want to select, and then you hold down Control on the keyboard and just select the second edge. And as you can see, all of the edges in between by shortest distance have been selected, and not the entire profile edge. So we have all the edges we want selected, and we'll hold down Shift and just pull out a lip of new edges or new faces here. Okay, so we just want to create a little surface area up here in preparation for our symmetry. Okay, so that's what this is doing right now. And so from this point we can enable symmetry, and we'll put symmetry on the y-axis, and you can see what happened here. Since our our model wasn't centered correctly, symmetry is doing its job, but we need to flip it. And since we're not centered up correctly, symmetry has caused us to lose the lip we just pulled out. So easy way to fix that is just to go into the mirror gizmo of the symmetry modifier and just pull it on the y-axis until we have our lip back again. All right, so we've just adjusted the central point of our model here through the symmetry modifier. And if you continue to pull, you can see that the mirrored side would just pull apart, and that's not what we want. We just want to maintain this area up here. So all right, so now we're done with symmetry. We don't need to maintain symmetry for the rest of the process, so we could go ahead and collapse it and then go to edge mode. And as you can see, the mirror edge loop is already selected for us, which is convenient because we're going to just remove it. Okay, so we're left now with this shape here, which is as you can see, it's very similar to what we're trying to achieve already, and so we're getting there. All right, so now we're going to prepare for subdivision here. So what we want to do is just add some support loops using Swift Loop. Again, you can just eyeball this. I'll add one here, and then I'll add one relatively equidistant right below it. So we've added two new supporting edges here. Okay, and I'm going to also want to select all of these top faces. Okay, all the faces that consist of the top portion of this model here. And one of the easier ways to go about doing this in 3ds Max is to go into face mode here in your editable poly object, and down in underneath the selection rollout, you'll see the sub-object preview selection. And as you can see, it's highlighting all of the faces that are underneath currently underneath my mouse. And if I hold down Shift on the keyboard while I paint over these faces, it will automatically select them, and then I just click, and so we have all those faces selected automatically, which is quite convenient. Okay, so then I'll toggle that off, and I'll do an inset here. All right, and the purpose of this is, again, it helps with the subdivision, and it's also going to give us a little bit of control for the top portion of the model. Alright, so this is where we're at so far. However, what's going to occur here if we just add a turbo smooth on here, and I'll show you right now. We'll add a turbo smooth in 2 iterations, and if we remove our visible edges, you can see what's occurring here maybe. What we have is a little bulge here on either side of the model. You could see it in the highlights. You know, it's a bulge, it's a crease going all the way down either side of the model, and that's caused by these edges here being you know, too close together in relation to the rest of the topology of the model. Okay, so we can fix that by going into our vertex subobject mode and selecting these 2 points and collapsing them, and then these 2 points at the bottom, the same thing, collapse them, and then we'll flip around to the other side of the model and select these 2, collapse, and then select those 2 and collapse. And now we've created a single edge on either side, which should smooth a little bit better. However, in doing so, we've also created a triangle here on both sides, and we want to get rid of that. So what we'll do here is just go to edge mode, select an edge up on the top here, ring it, and then we'll connect it. And that takes care of the triangles. They're now quads. And it also subsequently gives us the ability to round out the top here a little better and create a you know, just to create a little bit of a rounded tip on our model. So we'll select these edges across the top that we just made, and we will just pull them up a little bit on the Z. Alright, so we've rounded that out a little bit, and it should make it look a little bit better. Okay, and now at this point I think we can go ahead and see what we look like with our subdivision, and we'll remove our edges, and as you can see now, that hump, that crease is taken care of. It's gone. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. The only thing is now we have something that looks similar to the object we're trying to achieve, except that it's a little too big. It's a little too thick. You know, and although some markers, some highlighters might actually look like this, not many of them do. And you know, you would have to have a huge model for it to be that thick. So what we'll do here is we'll just go to our subobject element level, and we'll scale this on the X and Y axis. Only the X and Y axis for now. Okay, and we've thinned it out to right about there. That's not bad. And then we'll just do the same on the Z. Alright, and you know, we just want to check it underneath here and make sure that we've maintained a fairly round base. In this case, we might be able to tweak it on the X a little bit, and that's better. So, alright, so we have a little bit better representation of that model now. And if you notice what happened as a result of our subobject scaling operation, we've lost our gizmo down here. So we'll go ahead and go into our hierarchy tab, effect pivot only, center to object. Alright, and then just for good safe measure, we'll reset our transform and scale. Okay, and now we have our gizmo back in the center, and we're ready to continue. Okay, one thing, you know, we have a model here that's pretty close to what we want for the tip of a marker, for the felt tip, but there's a little tweaking we can do here if we desire. One thing that I notice isn't correct is that usually the felt tips of these objects aren't straight across like this. They typically are slanted to provide a tip or an edge on the one side where you can write more thinly. So we could easily rectify that situation. Just go down and in your modifier list, select an FFD 2x2 freeform deformer, and then go ahead and select the two control points at the top of the one side, and just go ahead and pull that down. Okay, and then that gives you the slant that that we want with this model, and it's more realistic. Okay, so and while you're in here, you can, if you wanted to, you can play around with the scale of the model as well. You know, that's up to you. If you want to tweak it while you're in the FFD here and come up with something a little bit more suitable for whatever you're after. Okay. In this case, I'm happy with this result, so I'll just go back up to my FFD level and right-click, collapse to. That maintains the turbo smooth above it, and I could still work on the editable poly. All right, so let's put our edges back on here. And one last thing before we call this a finished model. I'm noticing that I would like to see what this central edge would look like if it were rounded out more, or perhaps a little thicker in this area. And we could easily play with that option by going to our edge mode, go to your loop tools, and then enable auto loop. Select one edge in the middle of the edge selection here, and then we can use our pinching tool to pinch that apart, and if you turn on show end result, you can see what that's doing to the surface of the model here. You know, we can create a thicker or even sharper edge on our marker. Okay, and in this case, I prefer something a little bit more rounded like that. All right, and I think that gives a nice realistic result here. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to call that a finished model for now. I hope this was helpful in some way. Maybe it was useful to. You might have picked up some techniques here, who knows, but hopefully you found this useful in some way, and let me know in the comments area, or send me an email. Either way, if you'd like to see me model the rest of this, it's up to you. Either way, I'll be back with another video very soon. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.